somebody that the people who are angry enough to throw a rock, forget who goes into the store afterwards, okay? Forget who runs into the store and says, hey, somebody threw a rock and broke a window. I'm going to go get a TV. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the guy who is just frustrated and angry and turns around and he doesn't even care what's there. He's going to throw a rock and break something. For that guy, in a situation like this, Al Sharpton shows up, who has some credibility on both sides of the aisle. I mean, this is a guy who's on television, okay? So he has a bit of credibility and gravitas when it comes to his acceptance by the folks who consume mass media, okay? So he has that. He has the microphone. He has the personality that goes along with it. But he's also got credibility to the guy who threw the rock, or is angry enough to do it. And that guy can look at Al Sharpton and he can say, there's a guy who is speaking truth to power and he's getting away with it. He's saying all of the angry, frustrated things I want to say. And people are gathering around him and they're chanting and they're expressing that kind of anger. But at the same point, they're not throwing rocks. So maybe there's a chance. And again, I say this as not necessarily a fan of Al Sharpton or of the things he's said in the past. I mean, like everybody else who's breathing, I think, Al Sharpton has at one point crossed the line and said some things that I wasn't real fond of. But that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody cannot be a useful influence in a situation like this to maybe keep that next rock from being thrown. And maybe you can't do that by standing there and telling people, please, don't throw rocks. It's not good. Maybe you have to do that by shouting angry words, but not throwing any rocks. And that's what I see Al Sharpton is doing. So like I said, I don't know of an incident. There may be one, and by all means, if you know one and I'm wrong, then call and correct me. But I don't remember Al Sharpton showing up and the next day there being rioting. I remember Al Sharpton showing up several times after there had been rioting and yelling angry words, and even in some cases walking down the street with the people who a day before had been rioting. And they were still angry and they were still upset. But they weren't throwing rocks and they weren't stealing anybody's TV. So, like I said, before you go too far off on him specifically, maybe there's a reason why. Maybe not Al Sharpton, but somebody needs to show up and take that anger and let it flow rather than just ignoring it and saying, no, that's bad. That's the wrong way to act. Don't act that way. And here I am. I've been that guy for the last couple of hours, saying this is wrong. This is not the best way to do it. But is the guy with the rock in his hand going to listen to me, or is he going to listen to Al Sharpton? I see. I think there's some validity to that. Not that it's necessarily a panacea, but I think that there are reasons why there are members of the community who have a bit of a different take on things. Off to Bentleyville, Pennsylvania we go, where Susie is standing by. Hello, Susie.
Good morning, John.
Morning. What's happening?
I feel like the situation, when I woke up and turned to CNN and I realized that what was going on when I spoke to your producer. Mm-hmm. There needs to be someone that can come in and defuse the situation. Because unless you know all of the facts, what good does it do to hurt innocent people, to destroy property, and to hurt innocent people? This is the point. I am not saying that I condone what the police officer did, because we don't know all of the facts.
Sure.
And until they do know this, what good is it going to do to cause all of this destruction of a nature where innocent people are getting hurt? Even the young man's family says, no, this is not what we want right at this point. We need to know what happened. And you made a comment about them having dash cams and things like that. Well, this is one of the things that Eric Holder and the Justice Department can see to it, that St. Louis Police Department has this type of technology, because it does tell both sides of it.
Yeah, and what one of them had said, I don't know whether it was the police chief in Ferguson where all of this happened or not, but somebody had made the statement that they had all of the equipment, but it had not been installed. It was still in the boxes waiting to go in.